So what we're going to go over today is what a 10B2 calculator is. And the reason I really feel like I should stress a video about the 10B2 calculator is if you know how to use this, you will make as much or as little money as you want, right? This is literally the gold mine for negotiating. This is the gold mine for deals. This is the gold mine for whatever it is. If you don't have all the information for a deal, this thing will give it to you. Now, what there are for those that aren't familiar with the 10B2 calculator, there are going to be 5 different components, and each component is a different factor when it comes to the mortgage rates. This could be used for car rates, for financing of properties, for literally whatever it is that you want to finance. This is the 10B2 calculator, financial calculator. So N is going to be the number of months. So the way the number of months is looked at, especially we're talking specifically real estate, is typically in 15 or 30 year AM schedules, right? So the AM schedule, AM or recitation schedule, I think is how you say it. I always just say the AM schedule is how long the loan is going to be paid out for. So we're going to get into that, but we're going to get into a couple different deal specific scenarios. But let's say, for example, it's a 30-year term FHA, right? So number of months is going to be 360. So the reason we want to go from left to right is so you can get an understanding of what's actually going on. But also when you're filling out the formula on your own deals on subject to creative finance, seller finance, you want to be able to go left to right to make sure that you get everything in order. So we're going to go 360. We're going to do the interest rate, which I've seen honestly like an 8.2% right now. Crazy, I know. And then let's go with the average purchase price, $250,000. Okay, so now we're going left to right. So N is number of months. I/YR is going to be the interest rate a year. The PV is going to be the present value. The payment is going to be the payment that they give every month. Important to note, this payment, when I click it, it's going to give me the payment for that. When I click it, it's going to give me a payment in a negative. So the payment is always going to be reflected in a negative light. The reason is it's going to cost you money, right? It's a payment. It's negative. It has to be negative. So it's going to cost me $1,869.39 for the next 30 years in order to pay off this $250,000 loan at an 8.2% rate. The future value, which is the FV, is always going to be zero unless otherwise, specifically stated that it's not going to be zero at the end of the term, which could be like a hard money, private money type thing. But that's a whole different conversation. Right now, we're using the 10B2 calculator specifically as a financial calculator for the mortgage industry, quote unquote. So we can see what they're seeing from their end. So we know exactly how much they're paying. So we know what we're paying when we pick up properties, what we're paying when we resell properties. Very, very important. Now, something I would love to stress and how you can make a lot of money using the financial calculators is, let's say that you talked to someone a year and a half ago and they were able to pick up a house and they got a rate at a 5.3%, right? So they have the same $250,000 house at a 5.3% rate for the 360 months, and the payment is going to be $1,388. Super, super important. Well, one thing that I like telling everybody is every interest rate that goes up is roughly about 10 to 11% purchasing power less for the person buying the property. So at a 5.3, it's $1,388. Now let's go 6.3. Now it's $1,547. Then now let's go 7.3. 1713. So you kind of see what's going on, right? Like every point is going to be roughly like $100 more a month. But let's go over here and say it's a 5.3% interest rate, so $1,388. Now, a couple different ways you can structure this property. If the property is still worth $250,000, which in most situations it's not going to be, then you can still pay the $250 and then put them at an interest rate with today's rate, and you will still be making $500 a month cash flow. Literally that simple to make cash flow. But let's take an even deeper look. So we're going to go to the AM schedule, and let's say they hold the property for 2 years. They've held it for 2 years already, so we want to go to month 24, as you can see here. Month 24, it's going to be $1,388 is the payment. They're still going to owe $242,843. Now, why is that number important to us? Because if they still owe $242,000, if the property is still worth $250,000, they can't sell the property. So I can't stress that enough. After closing costs, after commissions, after expenses, it's roughly about 8% that they're gonna be paying at the end of the day. So they're gonna pay about $20,000 to close on this property. Now, for them to pay $20,000, that means they're gonna have to write a check for $12,000 because $250 minus 20 is $230. They're still gonna owe $43,000 at the end of the day. They're gonna have to write a check for X amount of money. Now, how can we save them, and why would we save them if this is a deal that has essentially no equity. What we're looking at and what you want to use the 10B2 calculator is you want to see that 5.3%. That is the money. That is the goal. That is your cash flow. That is your equity. That is essentially everything. So the 5.3% is really what you're looking for. So no matter what the purchase price is, if you see an interest rate like that and you see that they don't have the money to sell the property today because of what it costs to sell the property, this is where you can come in. So the way that the market's going right now is this 5.3 is now an 8.5. So now the same person that bought the house can no longer afford the house. And let me explain that. Yes, the person that bought it can still technically afford it because they had a 5.3, but that same person that bought that house would not be able to buy that house today because now it's at an 8.5 and their payment's another $700 a month. This is the power of creative finance and subject to, especially right now, using this as your negotiation. So if we go back and we say, hey, you're going to be at a loss if you sell your property, can we pay you $5,000, $10,000, whatever amount of money to take over your mortgage payments? Is that something you might consider? Now, when they say yes, what would be an ideal exit and why would you do it? You're still going to pick it up at the 242. You're going to give them $10,000. So now if you sit down and you think it's like, wait, I'm still sitting in a negative position. Why would I do this deal? Now, the way I would restructure it and the way I would think about this deal is if I bought this deal for $250 and it cost me $10,000, that means I'm in it at $252, but I'm in it at $252 at a 5.3% rate. So I'm really in it at $252, 5.3, $1,388 is where I'm sitting. If I can resell this property and I can finance $250 at a 9.5% rate, because I'll be a little bit higher than the bank because it's owner finance. So I'm going to, kind of hurt the people that are doing the owner finance in a way, but I'm not going to screw them over because I want to make sure that if they ever do want to refinance the property, that they can refinance the property. If they want to get a better rate, great, but I'm not going to give them a rate that's super out there. I'm not going to put it at 12, 13, 14%. Let me be around the bank just a little bit higher. So if I can be between that 9 to 11% interest rate on the seller finance on the back end wrap, that's essentially where I'd be. Now, it's still the issue of like, okay, my money in is $10,000. How can I get that money out? So if you were to do it just like as a pure rate of return rate, you're 2102 plus, what was it, 1388? You're still going to cash flow $714 a month, which is a really good deal times 12. Now $8,569. So if it cost you $10,000 to buy and hold this property, you're sitting at a roughly 85, 86% rate of return on your money, which is a really, really good deal. If you can sit on that much money, I don't even think you should sell the property. But if you want to sell the property and you want to get that money back and you still want to cash flow, you can literally do the same exact thing, except instead of just putting them on this quote unquote rental rate, you ask for a down payment and you ask for $10,000, $15,000 down. So you're going to sell this property for $260,000, $265,000. They're going to give you $10,000, $15,000 down, which is actually nothing. That's not even 10%. I usually try to hit at least the 10% if you're wanting to make money. But if you want to just get rid of the property, $10,000, $15,000 down, get the money that you put into this deal, get it right back out, put that money in your pocket and go do it again and again. But the power of this to show you is the 10B2 calculator. Like this thing right here. And I showed you a real life demonstration of how I would actually look at a deal and how I would use the 10B calculator to say, if there's no equity on the deal, can I still make money? The answer is yes, you can still make money. But the answer is also, if I don't know how to use the 10B2 calculator, or if I don't know what the rates are on the resale, if I don't know the mortgage rates, if I don't know my true ARV, there's really no way of making money. You can't go into these deals blindly. And this calculator really takes as many of the unknowns out. So that is why this is probably one of the most important tools you can use as a creative finance investor. If you just learn how to use this, you don't need anything else. Yes, you can, take all those in-depth classes and courses of like, oh, you need this to your negotiation. If you want to be the best negotiator, you have to play mind tricks on them. No, that's not the school of thought I think we should come from. I think us as investors should come from the school of thought of what's your problem? How can I help you? How much money do you want? How much can I give you? Is there a happy medium? Is it worth it? Yes or no? And it's that simple. If you want money and I can pay you for your property and I can get paid to buy your property and you can get paid to sell your property, then we're all sitting good. Which is a little bit different, a little bit contrary to what a lot of people are saying, but I truly do believe if you learn how to use this 10B2 calculator, you'll always be making money because there's really no way of screwing up. Like if you know exactly what you can resell these things for and you know exactly what you're buying when you buy it, where's the issue? The only issue might be like if the market changes like crazy and then we're all screwed anyways. But if you can buy it and say, hey, I know that there's a 90-day hold on these properties because of the market value or because I want to resell it at FHA, regardless, if I know there's a 90-day holding period, let me just factor in the 1388 times 3. So now I'm going to hold it $4,000 extra. I'm going to be in it $14,000 before I get rid of this property, resell this property. Is that something I want to do? If the answer is yes, then go ahead and do the deal and know that you're getting a good rate of return. If the answer is no, still put it under contract and sell it to someone that would want to deal with this type of transaction. Anyway, that's a quick, really brief introduction of what the 10B2 calculator is, how to use it, real life application, how to actually make money. And then if you look at the AM schedule, if you put this thing together, you are going to be making a crazy, let's go to the last page and see how much money you'd make. Cumulative total, $756,000 is what you would make on this deal if you were to do it. So super important. If you're out there and you want to learn how to use the 10B2 calculator, shoot me a DM. I will teach you. I will show you how to do it. We'll figure something out. But if you have any deals that you'd want me to break down, let me know and we can definitely break them down here.